Hi, this is Janie with Paper Compulsions, and I wanted to talk about gathering ribbon or seam binding to make a ruffle to put on your cards or scrapbooks. I take regular seam binding and I color it, and I have a video talking about that. And then I just do a simple little stitch in it and gather it, like I did on these cards. And then I usually put a decorative strip on top of it just to hide that edge, but that is completely up to you. You get your ribbon and you decide where you want to place it. So I'm going to decide that I want it to go around this side. So that tells me I usually go about 2.5 times the width. So that would be 1, 2, and a little over 1/2 times the width. And I would get this seam binding and I hold it in my fingers where it's kind of taut, and I get a thread. You would want a coordinating thread like embroidery floss or something. I usually get one that matches pretty close, but for today I wanted to show you in a contrasting thread so you can kind of try to see what I'm doing. Here's another trick. When you are putting a knot on the end of your needle, and for seam binding I like to put several really big knots so that it will hold better. If you moisten your finger and thumb and grab that end of it and then wrap a loop, I let go of it, wrap a loop around your finger, and then with your thumb you're going to take the end and just slide it off your finger, and when you get to the end, hold on to that end and pull tight, and it makes a little knot at the end. So you grab the end of it, make a loop around your finger, roll it off of your finger with your thumb, hold the end of it and pull tight. And do that several times and you'll get little knots, and you don't have to try to worry about getting them exactly at the end. It automatically goes to the end. So to get started, if I were going to have the end visible like in this card, then I would fold the end of the ribbon over like this and then start my stitch. But on these cards I just tucked the end under a layer of the card, so I didn't need to worry about that. So for that I would probably leave a little bit of flat ribbon there and then start my stitch. I'm going to do a running stitch along one side of the ribbon, and to do that just kind of hold your ribbon taut and put your needle in, and I usually start up from the bottom just out of habit mostly. And you're not going to be going up then down then up then down then up then down. That's the long way to do it. I take my needle and I'm holding it with these 2 fingers and supporting it with this finger, or my finger and middle finger and thumb, and supporting it with my index finger. And you're just going to take little stitches like that, and you're just going to keep pushing your needle through the fabric, taking little bitty stitches. You'll skip a few centimeters and keep going up and down through it. Then when you get several stitches on your needle, you can just pull it through and then keep going. And that's much faster than if you're trying to do that on your own. And it helps you get your seam a little straighter. And so I would just keep going, taking little stitches, gathering the stitches on the needle as I go through. And this does not have to be pretty. You're not even going to see it. Or that's why I put the little paper on the top edge of mine, so that you don't see it and I don't have to worry about how pretty it is. When you're done, you would go ahead and do the whole thing. When you're done, you pull the ribbon along the thread, kind of like if you were taking if you had a shower curtain rod and you're pushing the curtain along the rod, you pull the thread tight and just pull the ribbon along the thread and get it to where it gathers the amount that you like. If you just want a few gathers, just push it a little. If you want it really gathered, you can push it a lot and get it really fluffy. And I'm going to show you some cute flowers to do with this later. But I have one already done. Ta-da! And this is gathered, and you know what? I gathered this one for this edge. Sorry about that. And I would just put some tape along the panel that I wanted to tape it to, and add a little bit on the back on either side. Then I would take my ribbon or seam binding and get the gathered edge, and it kind of wants to curl on you, so you kind of just have to make it lay down. And when I'm gathering it, I kind of make sure that it's even, that I have about the same number of ruffles along the way, that there's not just one area that's completely flat with no ruffles. I just kind of push it along until I think it's about even. And then I don't worry about getting this edge straight. I just worry about looking to make sure the bottom is fairly straight. And I'm just laying it down on the tape that I just laid down. And you would keep going, making sure that the bottom of it is fairly straight. And then I would come in with a decorative strip of paper and cover up the top. I put foam squares at the top of it and let this edge hang over this part. You can see here I didn't put foam on this one, but you could. And I put adhesive on this edge and let this edge just hang over the ribbon. Same thing on this one. I put dots around the top edge and then let this edge hang over the ribbon. And that way you don't have to really pay attention to if your stitches look even or if the thread matches or if it's all even at the top. You can just make sure it's fairly even at the bottom and go with it. Then when you're done, I would pick it up and wrap it around. And the great thing about seam binding and ribbon in general is that you can add lots of little layers, but it will still lay flat when you mail it, or if you have it in a scrapbook or something. And then it still looks, the crinkle ribbon still looks good when you get it out. So that's how you would do the ribbon on the card. On this one, I just started it here and wrapped around. I had already attached this layer, so I just started it there and wrapped around, and then put a decorative strip over it. And on this one, I wrapped it around the edges here, and then attached that to the card, and then put a decorative strip here. A note about the decorative strip: I cut this one with my electronic cutter, but this one I took my old scallop decorative edge scissors that we all have a ton of, and I cut a strip, and then I cut it. It was a fairly wide area of paper, and then I go through with and get this decorative edge even on my cutter, just my regular paper cutter, and then I cut the straight edge, because I don't always cut straight when I'm using my decorative scissors, but I cut that edge first and then put it on, get this edge lined up on my paper cutter, and cut this edge straight so that I have a straight strip when I'm through. So that's how you would gather ribbon for a card or scrapbook. I'm also going to do another video where I show you how to make little ribbon rosettes from your gathered ribbon to make little flowers like that. Thanks for watching. Oh, wait, one more thing. You don't have to just do this with ribbon or seam binding. I did a strip of denim fabric that I had left over from something and gathered it, and that would make a really cute card or scrapbook embellishment. Thanks. Bye.